Om. So we were reading the chapter 8. We were on page 21, but I would prefer to start from the beginning of chapter 8, page 20. Question. As a child, fairly often I experienced states of complete happiness. Verging on ecstasy, later they ceased, but since I came to India, they reappeared, particularly after I met you. Yet these states, however wonderful, are not lasting. They come and go. There is no knowing when they will come back. Maharaj, how can anything be steady in mind which itself is not steady? How can I make my mind steady? How can an unsteady mind make itself steady? Of course, it cannot. It is the nature of the mind to roam about. All you can do is to shift the focus of consciousness beyond the mind. Now, this sentence is something that I remember saying we need to contemplate. Maharaj says, all you can do is to shift the focus of consciousness beyond the mind. Two words, consciousness and beyond mind. What does it mean? What is beyond mind? I was reading elsewhere. I tried to find, so I was reading elsewhere in some other books. And the interpretation given there of this sentence is that he's trying to explain that beyond mind is to concentrate about what we are thinking. In other words, being extremely mindful. If you are extremely mindful of what thoughts you are getting, what emotions you are getting, what feelings are you getting, and intensely watch that, then your attention, your focus, your consciousness goes beyond those thoughts, emotions, and feelings. When we say beyond, in other words, those thoughts and emotion may appear, but does not disturb, does not bother, does not obstruct your attention on focusing I am. His teaching is to focus on I am, which means I am consciousness. I am that I am. So, in practical, if we continue chanting I am that, that become monotonous. But with understanding of watching thoughts and emotions intensely, every single thought that we experience, watch it without discrimination. Notice when that happens with full awareness, two things will happen. One, there will be a subtle gap that we notice between two thoughts. Second, we also may notice that those thoughts may not anymore disturb you. It does not bother you. You are able to focus on your staying in the assumption of I am. I use the word assumption because initially, practically speaking, it is only assumption I am until we experience it. So this sentence, when Maharaj says, all you can do is to shift the focus of consciousness beyond the mind. Aditi, you wanted to say something?
I was just thinking on the line that when we say thinking beyond mind is when we focus on what goes on in and out in our thoughts. There are most of the things that are coming either from the memory lane or from the mind conditioning. So if we are able to focus on that and go actually beyond it is what probably. So again,
Yes,
being mindful of the thought is the first step, definitely.
yes, yes. And what will happen is, this is also something that I have realized personally, that if you are intensely watching your thoughts, even for a moment of 10 minutes, for example, if you're able to close your eyes and be mindful of your thoughts for 10 minutes, you will notice the thoughts that come and go, most of them are repetitive nature.
Yes.
There are no new thoughts. There are very few that we
Yeah.
may have completely new thoughts.
Mm.
Thought appear and disappear, but the nature of the thought would be same.
Yes.
And so once you notice it, that it's the same thought, it is easier to find the gap between two thoughts. Only that is possible only if you are able to have awareness, totally aware of what are you thinking. All right, let's continue. Maharaj is explaining how is it done. Question. Refuse all thoughts except one, the thought I am. The mind will rebel in the beginning, but with patience and perseverance, it will yield and keep quiet. Once you are quiet, things will begin to happen spontaneously and quite naturally, without any inference on your part. That's what precisely we spoke about. Can I avoid this protected battle with my mind? Yes, you can. Just live your life as it comes, but alertly, watchfully, allowing everything happen as it happens, doing the natural things the natural way, suffering, rejoicing as life brings. This also is a way. Well, then I can as well marry, have children, run a business, be happy. Sure, you may or may not be happy. Take it in your stride. Yet I want happiness. True happiness cannot be found in things that change and pass away. Pleasure and pain alternate inexorably. Happiness comes from the self and can be found in the self only. Find your real self, and all else will come with it. So, in other words, true to yourself. If you are in a state of happiness, you will notice it, or you will be able to share it. But you yourself are not in the state of happiness, neither you realize it or experience it, nor you can share it. So first thing is to accept yourself as you are, and realize that happiness is your innate nature. If my real self is peace and love, why is it so restless? It is not your real being that is restless, but it is reflection in the mind appears restless because the mind is restless. It is just like the reflection of the moon in the water stirred by the wind. The wind of desire stirs the mind, and the me, which is but a reflection of the self in the mind, appears changeful. But these ideas of movement, of restlessness, of pleasure and pain are all in the mind. The self stands beyond the mind, aware but unconcerned. Is this clear? Very simple words and straightforward answer. How to reach it? You are the self, here and now. Leave the mind alone. Stand aware and unconcerned, and you will realize that to stand alert but detached watching events come and go is an aspect of your real nature. Real nature is just to witness, observe, not to make any discrimination, not to make any judgment. What are the other aspects? The aspects are infinite in number. Realize one and you will realize all. Tell me something that would help me. You know best what you need. I am restless. How can I gain peace? For what do you need peace? To be happy. Are you not happy now? No, I am not. What makes you unhappy? I have what I don't want, and I want what I don't have. Why don't you inert it? Why don't you invert it? Yeah. What you have and care not for what you don't have. I want what is pleasant and don't want what is painful. How do you know what is pleasant and what is not? From past experience, of course. Guided by memory, you have been pursuing the pleasant and shunning the unpleasant. Have you succeeded? No, I have not. The pleasant does not last. Pain sets in again. Which pain? The desire for pleasure, the fear of pain, both are states of distress. Is there a state of unalloyed pleasure? Every pleasure, physical or mental, needs an instrument. Both the physical and mental instruments are material. They get tired and worn out. The pleasure they yield is unnecessarily limited in intensity and duration. Pain is the background of all your pleasure. You want them because you suffer. On the other hand, the very search for pleasure is the cause of pain. It is a vicious circle. So beautiful. So straightforward, so simple. It's so easy to grasp it. As long as you are mindful of what you are reading and try to reflect it on our own life, our own experience. Let's read it again. Question. The desire for pleasure, the fear of pain, both are states of distress. Is there a state of unalloyed pleasure? Every pleasure, physical or mental, needs an instrument. Both physical and mental instruments are material. They get tired and worn out. The pleasure they yield is necessarily limited in intensity and duration. Pain is the background of all your pleasures. Mark that word, mark that sentence. It is the pain which is underlying of all pleasures. If you ever get chance to read Buddhism, entire Buddhism, original Buddhism, is based on this one sentence. This is the principal philosophy of Buddhism. Pain is the cause of all suffering, and pleasure is only reflection or superfluous. It is the pain that brings about the search of happiness. And finally, you understand that the happiness is who you are. And there is nothing to search. And that's Buddhism. On the other hand, the very search of pleasure is the cause of pain. It is a vicious circle. I can see the mechanism of my confusion, but I do not see my way out of it. The very examination of the mechanism shows the way. After all, your confusion is only in your mind, which never rebelled so far against confusion and never got to grips with it. It rebelled only against pain. So all I can do is to stay confused. Be alert, question, observe, investigate, learn all you can about confusion, how it operates, what does it do, what it does to you and others. By being clear about confusion, you become clear of confusion. This is, in other words, if you have any pain, any suffering, just watch the pain and suffering. Simply by watching pain and suffering intensely, mind will wonder, how did I get this? And then what did I do that to get it? And it continues, that link, that connectivity continues. And finally you realize you do not feel pain because your mind has found the source of the pain. The source of the pain is looking for pleasure. In other words, if you're trying to, let's say a simple words, the pleasure is to find a new shoes or new shirt or a new car or anything that gives you pleasure. And so you're looking for it. But by buying it or to acquire it, you have to undergo many changes of your budget, your calculations, and after all that, when you have it, that happiness lasts probably for days and months. That's all. After that, your neighbor will buy a new car and you will say, I want that now. Or your friend will buy a new shoe and you say, my shoe is not so good. So that pleasure that you achieved, short-lived. That's the source of pain.
Acharya ji,
Yes.
is it jealousy or some sort of what is that? If we have like a neighbor or some promotion with somebody and like that, so we keep a benchmark. So is it benchmarking ourselves is one of the reason of the pain?
Yeah. Your question has the answer. When you start expecting, that's the beginning of you gaining or you are looking for pain. Moment you expect that you deserve to be rewarded, or you should get a promotion, or you should be recognized as the good worker or efficient officer, all kind of expectations is the source of pain ultimately. Even if you get it, because as I said, from level 1 to level 2, you are promoted and you feel happy and you get pleasure. But then you will realize that it does not end there. Your mind will look for yet another level, to climb to another level. And that, in Upanishad, it's called greed in English, that greed is something, it's not desire, it's greed. That's something that brings pain. On the other hand, your colleague or your friend is climbing the ladder faster than you, it gives you some amount of pain. Call it jealousy, call whatever you like, but you feel that you are not getting. It is not because your friend is climbing the successful ladder, but it is because you are not able to match up. I mean, that makes you painful. That gives you some sort of suffering. Moment you do not expect, and you said that's perfectly fine. He deserves this, he got it. When I deserve it, I get it. If that is your mental attitude, the pain does not come to you.
Okay.
This is exactly what I mean.
Acharya, but here the ideas of fairness and justice come into picture, because when we know probably certain occasions that things are not being fair, so it's difficult to tell yourself that I don't deserve it when the other person is deserving and getting it.
But ask yourself, who is deciding fairness? That this is fair and this is not fair. Who is thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the person who did not get it. For that person, it is unfair. But the person who got it, for him or her, it is fair.
Exactly.
So the fairness per se is not individual, it's not general, it is individual, attached to each one. And that root of all that, whatever we call fairness or not, is our expectation, desires, greed, ultimately. If you deserve it and the right time, right thing happens. It's just we feel that we did not get it now, and therefore it is not fair. Maybe you still not reach that state that that you would deserve it, that you should deserve it.
Or maybe as a bigger picture, you should not get it because there is something else that you get motivated for when you don't get something there.
True,
That's also
true. In either case, what is the bottom line? Bottom line is not to have such desires or expectations. Remember, once again, we talk about it. Chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Karma Yoga, do your job as best as you can, whatever it is, working in office, in home, in wherever, whatever that you do,
yeah.
do as best as you can. Do not expect rewards. Rewards come, it is my prasad to you. If that is your attitude in working in life, then you have no pain. You realize that I still do not deserve it.
Right.
Acharya ji, it is all the Acharya ji pranam.
Pranam.
Today I'm in Simla और अभी इधर आया हूँ कुफरी अटेंड कर थोड़ा लेट हो गया और that's why we are talking about that karma की है ना सर कर्म is there fairness and unfairness Aditya was telling कहीं ना कहीं हमारे that's karma is comes ना सर तो वो हमारे ये लेके आ जाते हैं कि we are going and somebody is going तो कहीं ना कहीं वो कर्म पीछे जो करे उनका भी कहीं रिजल्ट होता है कोई उनके साथ फेयरनेस करता दैट मीन्स सम वर्क ही हैज डन इट देन ओनली that is going to his favor. So we should not have jealousy for that. We have done something. जो कि जैसा कर्म करेगा वैसा फल देगा भगवान ये है गीता का ज्ञान ये बिल्कुल एब्सोल्युटली ट्रूथ है कहीं ना कहीं ये हमारे पीछे कर्मों का भी दैट्स रिजल्ट है आई फील लाइक दैट
Yep, correct. So if you are always conscious about that attitude, that I have to deserve it. When I come to a position that I deserve it, things will happen to you. And if it doesn't happen, it's all right. You are performing your role. You are doing your duty. That's all. That's what Krishna says. Do your best as you can. That's all.
Is it manifestation that if we are not getting something and then we constantly longing for the same and then we get because our thoughts are aligned and then we get the result?
Yeah. Look, it's when you are in the world, when you are in this materialistic transactional world, of course, we all have to do our best. Of course, we do have our requirements, our expectations. But back of your mind, if you have this truth as your base, your foundation, that I'm just doing my role. I'm performing my role as best as I can. Best of my ability, I'm performing. What happens after that is not in my control, is not in my hand. Whatever happens according to my destiny, according to the divine design, as to say. And when you have that attitude, I think we do not undergo any pain or suffering or any emotional turmoil, because we know that we have done our best. The rest is not in my control. Yeah, simple. If I'm saying it's not any major, even if you are, let's say, washing your dishes or cleaning up your backyard or doing any small household chore, do as best as you can. Make sure that you're dusting, you're cleaning, you're whatever, ironing, whatever that you are doing, simple things, do as best as you can. Now, if somebody appreciate it or not, does not matter. Unfortunately, our mind wants recognition. Our mind wants appreciation. Yeah. And when we are not appreciated for what we are doing, we feel let down, or we feel unwanted, or we feel sad. Root cause of sadness, unwanted, all is because of our expectations, our desires.
So, Acharya ji, if we are not basically addicted or means we to some good work and expect that somebody appreciates, how the growth will happen and the people will be motivated to do that kind of job again and again.
Look, if you forget about people, forget about others, each one of us have this attitude that I am doing my best. I am doing all what I can to best of my ability, and I'm not expecting appreciation or reward. If it comes, I'm happy. If it doesn't come, I'm also happy. If that is your attitude, things will happen by itself. It's not that you are doing or somebody, it will work out. That energy of your thinking, that energy or that attitude that you have put in your lifestyle, it is shared, whether you know it or not. It is shared. It gets reflected among all your colleagues around you. People will notice that you are selfless worker. You doing your best and expecting no appreciation as a reward. Appreciation comes, you are smiling, you accept it, fair enough. But if it doesn't come, you are still the same person. You are still happy. If that becomes your personality, it will, like a virus, it will spread. You will notice your next door or your colleague sitting next will adopt, sooner or later, adopt the same attitude. And that is something that energy works. Yeah, that's not that you are doing. That's not somebody is doing. That is how it is. Goodness is always prevailing, and it is shared, it is spreading. No matter whatever that we hear, whatever that you think the world is in turmoil, there are hatred, there are violence. It's so minuscule, so small compared to the greatness, happiness of so many other people and so many other things. It is that greatness, that happiness that keeps the balance. So if you are happy, if you remain unaffected with whatever that happens, rest is taken care. That's how the mechanism, the nature. So do not worry about whether people will notice or not, whether they appreciate or not. It happens. It will happen. When you deserve, it will happen.
Thank you, sir.
We will read one more page. So, question. I want what is pleasant and don't want what is painful. How do you know what is pleasant and what is not? From past experience, of course. Guided by memory, you have been pursuing pleasant and shunning the unpleasant. Have you succeeded? No, I have not. Pleasant does not last, pain sets in again. Which pain? The desire for pleasure, the fear of pain. Both are states of distress. Is there a state of unalloyed pleasure? Every pleasure, physical or mental, needs instrument. Both the physical and mental instruments are material. They get tired and worn out. The pleasure they yield is necessarily limited in intensity and duration. Pain is background of all pleasures. You want them because you suffer. On the other hand, the very search for pleasure is the cause of pain. It is vicious circle. I can see the mechanism of my confusion, but I do not see my way out of it. The very examination of mechanism shows the way. After all, your confusion is only in your mind, which never rebelled so far against confusion and never got to grips with it. It rebelled only against pain. So, all I can do is to stay confused. Be alert, question, observe, investigate, learn all you can about confusion, how it operates, what it does to you and others. By being clear about confusion, you become clear of confusion. When I look into myself, I find my strongest desire is to create a create a monument to build something which will outlast me. Even when I think of home, wife, and child, it is because it is lasting, solid testimony to myself. Right. Build yourself a monument. How do you propose to do it? It matters little what I build as long as it is permanent. Surely, you can see for yourself that nothing is permanent. All wears out, breaks down, dissolves. The very ground on which you build gives away. What can you build that will outlast all? Intellectually, verbally, I am aware that all is transient. Yet, somehow, my heart wants permanency. I want to create something that lasts. Then you must build it for something lasting. What have you that is lasting? Neither your body nor mind will last. You must look elsewhere. I long for permanency, but I find it nowhere. Are you yourself not permanent? I was born, I shall die. Can you truly say you were not before you were born, and can you possibly say when you dead? Now I am no more. You cannot say from your own experience that you are not. You can only say I am. Others too cannot tell you you are not. Read it again. Question. I was born, I shall die. Can you truly say you were not before you were born? And can you possibly say when you're dead, now I am no more? You cannot say from your own experience that you are not. You can only say, I am. Others too cannot tell you you are not. There is no I am in sleep. Before you make such sweeping statements, examine carefully your waking state. You will soon discover that it is full of gaps. When the mind blanks out, notice how little you remember even when fully awake. You cannot say that you were not conscious during sleep. You just don't remember. A gap in memory is not necessarily a gap of consciousness. You get it? He says, Maharaj keeps saying that be conscious of I am. Yeah? So the question says, there is no I am in sleep, because when you are in deep sleep, you are not aware, you are not conscious. Maharaj says, and that's very significant, before you make sweeping statement, examine carefully your waking state right now for us. You will soon discover that it is full of gaps when the mind blanks out. Notice how little you remember even when fully awake. You cannot say that you were not conscious during sleep. You just don't remember. A gap in memory is not necessarily a gap in consciousness. So it is consciousness that prevails. It's just that in the deep sleep, we are not aware of it, or we do not remember it. We do not notice it. That does not mean that that consciousness is not present. Remember, the Tattva spoke about 4 states. First state is being awake for us right now. Second state is when you are in a state of dreaming. Yeah, you are dreaming. The dream world to you is so real, it's extremely real, without knowing that it is a dream. So that's the second state. Third state is deep sleep, where apparently you are not connected to anything. You do not notice your body, you do not know your body lying on the floor or a bed or whatever. You lose the awareness of your body, mind, the world, because you are in deep sleep. And yet, when you wake up, you know that you had a good deep sleep. Who recognizes, who knows it, that you had a deep sleep? It is that consciousness. So the fourth state, known as Turiya, Turiya literally means the fourth state. That fourth state is constant. It is here now in waking state, it is there in dreaming state, it is there in deep sleep state. Yet to be in samadhi or dhyana is to be in state of Turiya. Yeah. So when you are dharana and dhyana, when you are holding a dharana for a long time intensely, you slip into dhyana. That state of dhyana is equivalent to Turiya. You are only remain as being. Yeah, you are not doing anything, you remain being. And so Maharaj is saying that the gap in memory does not mean that there is no consciousness. Can I make myself remember my state of deep sleep? Of course, by eliminating the intervals of inadventures during your waking hours, and you will gradually eliminate the long interval of absent-mindedness, which you call sleep. You will be aware what you are. You will be aware that you are asleep. That is the quality of being yogi. It is only the yogi of high order who can go to deep sleep and yet fully aware. Yeah. And so this is something that we all have to look forward to. None of us have experience of that. That you are fully aware when you are in deep sleep. Yet the problem of permanency, of continuity of being is not solved. Permanency is a mere idea, born of the action of time. Time again depends on memory. By permanency, you mean unfalling memory through endless time. You want to eternalize the mind, which is not possible. Then what is eternal? That which does not change with time. You cannot eternalize a transient thing. Only changeless is eternal. I am familiar with the general sense of what you say. I do not crave for more knowledge. All I want is peace. you can have for asking all the peace you want. I am asking. You must ask with an undivided heart and live an integrated life. How? Detach yourself from all that makes your mind restless. Renounce all that disturbs its peace. If you want peace, deserve it. I hope you are reading with me. It is so beautiful. I repeat. Question. I'm familiar with general sense of what you say. I do not crave for more knowledge. All I want is the peace. You can have for the asking all the peace you want. I'm asking. You must ask with the undivided heart and live an integrated life. How? Detach yourself from all that makes your mind restless. Renounce all that disturbs its peace. If you want peace, deserve it. Surely everybody deserves peace. Only those deserve it who don't disturb it. In what way do I disturb peace? By being a slave to your desires and fears. Even when they are justified, emotional reactions born of ignorance and inventiveness are never justified. Seek a clear mind and clean heart. All you need is to keep quietly alert, inquiring into the real nature of yourself. This is the only way to peace. Please read those last couple of questions and answers again and again whenever you get time. So significant. Maharaj, famous quotations. The seeker is he who is in search of himself. The self is near and the way to it is easy. All you need doing is doing nothing. Stay open and quiet. That is all. Yeah. The self is near and way to it is easy. All you need to do is doing nothing. Stay open and quiet. That is all. In other words, stay open and quiet. In other words, accept all that is happening. Do not fight. Do not judge. Do not make discrimination. Just accept whatever is happening. Be open. We stop here today. Generally, do you get time to read book? If you do get time to read book, please read this. Whatever we read again. Even if you could read one page, just one page, read again. And read it in a way that you are talking to yourself. Just a last short sharing that I thought I would do. Few days back when I was attending this retreat, and there was a question about same question what this man had asked Araj, that I do not need more knowledge, I want peace. Similar question that I don't want to do or learn or know about dharana, dhyana or meditation and samadhi and all that. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. All what I want is to do yoga. Yeah, a lady asked, and she's been doing yoga so well, Australian woman, but she is not open to not yet, I would say, to sit and do nothing and maintain stillness. She feels restless and whatever. So she very openly, honestly said, all I want is to do yoga. I do not care about, sitting for meditation and all that. For me, it's not required. And I accepted it and I said, fair enough. If that is clearly what you want, I'm happy. Continue doing your yoga. And then there were other people who was also trying to share, and somebody said, but this is not true. Ultimately, yoga ends up doing samadhi or ends up to do meditation. And I said, look, the meditation is not for all. It can happen only when you deserve it. And when I say meditation, I don't mean sitting with eyes closed. That's not meditation. Meditation literally means being in that dhyana or in samadhi. And I said that does not happen to everybody. It can happen when the right time arrives, when you have purified yourself enough, when you have gone through all the learning and gained the clarity and gone through the purification. Only then your mind will be at rest and you are in the position to do nothing and just sit with a smile on your face and eyes closed. If you are not if not at peace, at rest, you cannot sit and do nothing. You will be restless. And that's all right. That's the one of the stages. So it's when I remember all this, one person from our group sent message that I cannot do satsang. I don't enjoy satsang. For me, it is beyond my understanding. And I said, that's perfectly fine. If you cannot, then that's also good. I'm happy you are honest about it, that you cannot enjoy your satsang and do not understand, and continue doing yoga, whatever that you are doing. The reason why I mentioned or I shared is that to be aware of our own state of mind, just that we know our attitude, that we know our personality, that we know what is right for me at this stage. That's indication of being aware. Not simply because everyone is doing so I must do. That's not required. At right time, right thing happens. Oh. 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 Asatoma satamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityuma amritam gamaya loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, God, for giving us air to breathe. Thank you, God, for giving us water to drink. Thank you, God, for giving us sun for energy. Thank you, God, for giving us food to eat. Thank you, God, for giving us good health and happiness. Thank you, God, for giving us positivity. Thank you, God, for giving us all that we deserve. Thank you, God, for your love, your protection, your guidance, your blessings. Thank you, God, for the existence. Thank you for giving me a chance to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Acharya.
everybody.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Thank you. Have a good day and see you on Monday.
Yes, Acharya ji.
Thank you.
Wish you to have a nice weekend.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sam. To you.